Maybe you've only heard of this game. Maybe you have watched videos about it or even have tried it yourself. What you may have seen or know from experience is that Only Up is a platform game like no other. The gameplay seems pretty simple. Your character starts on the ground and the objective is, you guessed it, to go up. Easy, right? Well, not quite. The game can be forgiving and unforgiving at the same time. On one hand, you are given the ability to slow down time, and you can play the entire game like this if you wish. But on the other hand, there is no saving your progress. One wrong move can drop you back to an earlier section of the game or possibly all the way back to the beginning. Once you begin your journey, you are in it for as far as you can make it. The key to progressing in this game is well-placed and well-timed jumps. Be observant and patient, and you could possibly make it to the end. If you aren't careful, be ready to try again. Only Up also offers a story. Narrations that play at certain parts of the game.
I remember as a child, my parents helped me to walk along the fence. I felt their support. If I fall, my parents will catch me. But now I'm alone and no one will catch me. Does it mean to be an adult? The railroad was opened here 120 years ago. My grandfather worked here. I often went to see him. My grandfather worked here for 60 years, and then he died. My father worked here as a driller, and he always smelled of fuel oil. I was afraid of him and hoped that one day he wouldn't come back from work. He drank a lot and often beat my mother and me, but that's in the past.
Throughout the game, the narrator tells a story about her life, and once in a while, you'll get a random quote or saying.
To all the foolish, happiness from madness. To all the smart, woe from wit.
The story behind the game seems to be that you are playing as the narrator in her journey through life, starting at the bottom in a poor neighborhood and working your way up, literally. While playing Only Up, I was definitely challenged beyond what I thought this game would offer. I did not expect the amount of joy, relief, and satisfaction that reaching the next section or higher plane could bring. Not to mention with each section, and later on with each successful jump, how much stress and anxiety would build. The further I got in this game, the more devastating it would be to fall. I think the creators meant for this game to be a metaphor for life. We all start at the bottom. Maybe not the same as what is depicted in the game, but in one way or another. Our skills and advantages will either help us or hurt us in our journey upwards. Some will find it easier where others might have a harder time. There are periods where we can stop, rest, and enjoy what we've accomplished. But life keeps going, and so must we. The creators filled this game with tons of artwork, familiar objects, and references, because the goal is not just to see how high you can go or to make it to the top, but to enjoy these things along the way. I found myself admiring the placement of these objects, seemingly telling their own story, and scenes of ordinary people enjoying themselves and living life. Something that might be overlooked if we are just fixated on our next goal. The journey is what makes life worth living, and this game worth playing. And for the price of $9.99, I highly recommend trying it out. My first attempt did not end well. My reaction says it all. But I couldn't stop thinking about this game. About getting even further. What's at the top? I had to find out. I knew I could look it up, but I wanted to see for myself. To get there myself. Attempt after attempt, the more I tried, the better I got, and the easier it became. I was being more calculated, more careful, more aware of how to navigate these jumps and obstacles. I was determined to make it to the top. I was making progress. I was positive that I wouldn't succeed, but I just needed to see how far could I go. With a few setbacks here and there, it didn't deter me from continuing. I hadn't fallen enough to give up, and it only motivated me more. After climbing far enough, you will hit the end. You'll hear the victory music from Final Fantasy, which, ironically enough, I had put off playing Final Fantasy 16 to play this. There's confetti, a podium showing first, second, and third place, with a sign behind that states, winner. And you'll also see the time it took to reach this area. If you didn't look up, you'd think you did it. You beat the game. But looking up, however, you'll notice there's still much more to go. And in life, we might achieve the ultimate goals we set for ourselves, but then what? Well, we keep going. The game, up until this point, had become predictable. Jump, climb, look for the next pathway, and proceed. You'll occasionally reach the end of a section and get to enjoy a little ride to the next one. But the game from this point starts to depict more playful scenes, this time breaking away from the more realistic scenes of different parts of towns and cities to religious and mythological scenes, stories, art, and even references to books and movies. Going beyond the finish line is much more rewarding, but it's also much more challenging. During this icy frozen part of the game, I was thrown off, because the static, fixed in place objects I was used to could fall, and take me with it if I'm not careful. The first time took me by surprise, but I just picked myself up and continued on. In a way, reaching these higher sections were a little more forgiving. Earlier on, a fall could be devastating, but in these higher sections, a fall didn't always mean losing tons of progress. I grew more confident the higher I went. Missing a jump or falling wasn't as anxiety-inducing as it was before. I made it this far, and I can make it all the way. Slow and steady, I was going to make it. I saw this towering structure with the rainbow road from down below. Couldn't believe I had made it this far. Felt so far away, and now I'm here. I feel like I could see the last section, the end of the game from here. I'm close. All the hard work I put in will pay off. I can make it. But the one thing I had forgotten is this game is no longer predictable. Objects aren't always fixed in place. I forget to be careful. I ignore the sound of something not being right, of things being too easy. I had grown too confident and comfortable. Sometimes in life, these are the times where you can be thrown a curveball, or in my case, a spiraling out of control platform. And I fall. Far. Too far. This isn't a fall I can recover from. I watch the objects and scenery of the different sections I had climbed pass me by quickly. A quick recap of all that I had accomplished. I try to guide my fall, but realize it is pointless. This one mistake will cost me everything. I was devastated. I had the thought that I wouldn't complete it this try. I knew I wouldn't. No way. That easy? But it didn't hurt any less because for a moment I thought I would. I think we all feel that way sometimes. We get so hopeful for something, even though the voices in our head tell us otherwise, we still hope for something good in the end. I go online to watch others celebrate their victories. Seeing that others are not only completing the game, but doing it in an insane amount of time. What took me hours was being done in minutes. It was actually amazing to see. It reminded me again of this connection to life, enjoying the journey. Not everyone's is the same, nor should they be. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, our times of celebrations and sadness. We all rise and we all fall the same, even if it looks different. We should enjoy the journey and celebrate what we have accomplished. And if we fall, we should get back up and try again.